أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. Last time we were discussing some aspects of biotic evolution with reference to science, and also we were trying to uh, understand the statements in the Quran. And we had read, just for recapitulation, I may read out the last paragraph so that we remain connected and we continue further. That after the process of Ratkan took place, the Big Bang took place, the process of Fatak, Ratkan for Fataknahuma, Fatak happened, the Big Bang happened, and then it was all more, it was a soup of plasma. Plasma, we had explained that it is a soup of ions, the subparticles. That is the first stage when the energy was converting into the matter. At that stage, at subparticle level, energy and matter is the same. So it was just the beginning. So, and even at that time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells in the Quran that I had control over that ma, that my arsh was over that ma. And then as the things were expanding, along with expanding, that is the creation of space. La muson, it was being expanded. The temperatures were falling. The temperatures came down from billions of degrees to millions of degrees, and they were further going down. So in this process, the solidification of the matter was also taking place. While the matter was being formed, after the subparticles were formed, then the particles were being formed, and simultaneously the particles were joining together. The matter was forming. Matter was overcoming the antimatter. In this process, the solidification was taking place, and the Quran tells, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells, that in this process, during the first 2 days, just 2 days, in these 2 days, the gaseous nebula, the plasma, that was separated into globes, into celestial objects, stars, their planets, their moons. So they were just in this stage of forming, that they were being separated, those circular, almost circular elliptical bodies, they were being formed. So this process of formation of the globes took place 2 days. And in the next 2 days, since the matter was still forming from subparticle to particle to atoms to molecules, and the substances were being formed, they were still at the plasmic level, but the solidification was taking place. So as soon as the matter was being formed, the mixing of the matter was taking place. Because once the solidification, if the period of solidification was over, then the mixing could not take place. So that mixing, Quran tells us, that was done in 4 days. In 4 days. So total 6 days. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that within 6 days, I completed the formation of the samawat and the earth. And in those 4 days, the mixing was so fine that if you go to the earth, you go on the moon, you go on the Mars or anywhere outside the solar system, you find that it is the same material, same matter. That is why we find that in the Quran, wherever word arz has been used, it is singular. It is the same matter. It's the same earthen matter. It is the same earthen matter, material, same material. And it is alike wherever you go, and the mixing has taken place. And even on one planet, For example, you can grow things agriculturally, botanically, the same things, say in the Western Hemisphere, and the same things in the um, Eastern Hemisphere, depending upon the weather and climatic conditions. But you find that the mixing of the material is so fine that you can grow similar fruits, vegetables all around the world, almost similar everywhere. You can grow something. You can grow grass, you can grow vegetables, because whenever you throw the seed in the soil, the material is available, the input is available, the intake is available. So this solidification, while mixing was taking place, the entire process was completed in 6 days. And on the seventh day, the Bible wrongly refers that Allah took a holiday. There is no such mention, and there is no such mention in the science also. Science doesn't refer to it, but the Bible, because of the word Sabbath, they refer to that. But there's no indication in the Quran, and God doesn't need it. What happened that, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Summa, then after some time, he straightened everything on the control matrix, the arsh, over the control matrix, over the arsh. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I straightened, I ordered the things over the power matrix, that is the arsh. And in this process, the designing, fashioning of the universe and each object was also included. Fatar was included. His body, his musawwir, everything was included. And then which object has to be placed where. For example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I decorated the lower heaven, the heaven which we see. This heaven is not in fact the total translation of the word sama or samawat, which we are translating as heavens. The canopy which we are seeing, the canopy which is nearer to the observer on the earth, that canopy Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I have decorated with lights, with stars, with sun, with moon. And every day, lot of activity takes place so far as the show, so far as the decoration is concerned. And in the north and in the south, there is a lot of beauty. You look at the sky every time, you find a different beauty. The things are changing. The picture is changing. The image is changing. It is moving. It's a dynamic. Now, these things are part of the evolution, solidification and fashioning. That is cosmic evolution, including landscaping. While the things was solidifying, solidification was taking place, the landscaping was taking place. The mountains were being fixed. They were being formed and they were being fixed. Landscaping was taking place. Chemical and organic processes were taking place. First, the chemical process from the subparticle to the particle, and then it came to the atoms and the matter, and then the organic processes when carbon was formed, that we'll study. When water and carbon they were formed, then there are other things are also when they formed, like nitrogen, hydrogen. Then the organic processes started, leading to biological evolution. After cosmic evolution, this is the period of from the physical chemistry to organic chemistry to organic processes to biological evolution. However, it took the biological evolution took billions of our years. And although the formation of the entire universe took place in 6 days, but these processes These evolutions, one evolution after the other, there are many evolutions which took place, and that took billions of years, not just one day, one way. One epoch or one. Uh, I'm just trying to unmute somebody because there is one mic which is disturbing, so I've unmuted that. We are coming back to the slide. So this biotic evolution, biological evolution took billions of years. This was the background which we had discussed. If the rate of expansion, now this is Dr. Stephen Hawking, in his book, A Brief History of Time, at that time when the Fatak took place, the Big Bang took place, just at that time. Last time we have discussed attosecond. It is billion multiplied by billion multiplied by billion by million and so on. 18 zeros. That part of second is the attosecond. So, but second can further be divided, but they have not yet achieved. But he's speculating, other scientists are speculating that at that time, in that the small fraction of time, what happened and how precisely and correctly it happened. If the rate of expansion, that is 1 second after the Big Bang, had been smaller by even one part of 100,000 million parts of 1 second, the universe would have recollapsed if the calculation was not so precise that in the trillionth of a part of the second, everything in terms of time, in terms of space, in terms of weight, in terms of mass, in terms of qualities, quantities, and everything in terms of the atoms which were being, or subparticles were being produced, if it was not exactly, precisely correct, the universe would have recollapsed. It would not have formed before it ever reached the present size. So this precision, behusbanan, everything is behusbanan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told, so many other things also, that everything is in balance. It is in mizan. It is by calculation. It is by his intention. It is by his plan, by his control. It is by his command. And he is still commanding all the time. I have given the reference here, which Dr. Stephen Hawking has given, and Harun Yahya is also quoted. At the Big Bang itself, the universe is thought to have had zero size, which means here almost zero size. Physically, it was there, so we cannot say zero, but almost it was zero size. And so to have the infinitely hot, and it was so infinitely hot at that time that it was billions of degrees of heat. But as the universe expanded, the space was creating, along with the time, the temperature of the radiation was decreasing. It was continuously decreasing as the space was increasing. 1 second after the Big Bang, just 1 second of the Big Bang, it would have fallen to about 10,000 million degrees. The temperature was falling, we can say, just in the first second, just in 1 second, the temperature would fall by 10,000 million, 10,000 multiplied by million. 10,000 million degrees, the temperature was falling to that rate in just 1 second. These things are not, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, are not created, these things, batila. Why are we discussing these things? Some people may have the objection. China has created the temperature of the sun on the earth. Temperature of the sun on the earth. And now the world is baffled. It has potential dangers, potential uses, more dangerous than the atomic power. There are many other things which can happen. So why people are looking at attosecond? Why people are studying sun? Why people are studying moon? Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned sun and moon and their calculations and everything in Quran? He's inviting attention that I have made them musakhar for you. Understand them, study them from Quran. Refer to the Quran, then study them from science. They are ultimately to your benefit, all the time to your benefit. Understand them, use them. Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned in these things in Quran, just because, just to read and go pass by them. They are for our benefit. We have to understand, take a clue, take a pointation. Without science, I'm very humbly repeating always, without science, we cannot understand Quran. And without understanding Quran, even the scientists cannot fully understand the phenomena of nature. As they are understanding the phenomena of nature, some of them, they are finding many secrets, many subtleties which they could not understand before that. That is what Dr. Bukai says in his book. Now, this is about 1,000 times the temperature at the center of the sun. This temperature at the time after the fall of the temperature, even that temperature is thousands of times more than the temperature of the sun. And now the temperature of sun has been created here. At this time, the universe would have contained mostly photons. Photons, they give us light. Electrons, they give us electricity, electromagnetic forces. If we don't study these things, we don't get these things. The people who studied this got a clue. They have gone to the moon. And those who have gone to the moon, the next 500 years belong to them. And neutrinos, and their antiparticles together with some protons and neutrons. Now, when these things were created, they started forming matter. He's referring to that phase. At that phase, when the temperatures were falling from the subparticle, the particles were forming from these things. Now, the matter, the atoms will be forming. Stephen Hawking also explained, as the universe expands, any matter or radiation, it gets cooler, which we have already mentioned. With the expansion, it is getting cooler. It is atrophy, which is taking place. The things are, the temperature is spreading. The heat is spreading. And the scientists say, if everything, everywhere, in every corner of the universe, at every point, has the same temperature, if it has the same temperature, then there will be, it means no motion. If there is no motion, it means there is no work. If there is no work, it means the universe is stationary. If the universe becomes stationary, it will collapse. The model of the universe which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created is that it is sustained through motion. Yusabbihuna, everything is moving with different motions, different types of motions, precisely calculated in their orbits. If this sabah, if the process of sabah, which is controlled by Allah, He is Subhan, if this process of sabah, in which objects are yusabbihun, that stops, the universe crashes, the universe finishes. That is the big crunch. But scientists are thinking in disorderly terms, whereas Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that even its winding up will be very orderly, because it will be in his own hand. It is in his own hand means it is in his own power. All the seven heavens, they will be orderly wound up. Natvi. They will be orderly wound up like the scroll, as it was first time unwound in the Big Bang. Now the Big Bang theory says, now the present version of the Big Bang theory is that every force was peeled off. It was unwound. The forces, they were wound up together in a singularity, and they started unwinding. In unwinding, the gravitons, the electrons, the electromagnetic forces, and other things, forces, they first came out. And from these forces, from this energy, the matter formed, the material form. So there is no contradiction. If we try to understand the Quran and we properly try to understand the relevant phenomena of nature also, but we should never try to translate Quran in the terms which are being used by science, because science is not static. It is progressive. It is changing. Tomorrow they will change the theory. Even the scientific law, which they say is a law, will change. So even if we don't understand anything, at this moment we are not able to reconcile under Quran, let us leave it if you don't understand it. Because the fact of Quran is eternal, the time will come, the science will unfold, it will make progress, and when we understand the science, we'll understand that phenomenon also properly. For example, the cooling is taking place when the universe doubles in size, its temperature falls by half. Since temperature is simply a measure of the average energy or speed of the particles motion, yusabbihun, and they are moving with energy, there's a force, they are related. This cooling of the universe would have a major effect on the matter in it. So motion is, in fact, the basic fact of creation. What is permanent in this universe? As long as this universe remains as it is, the permanent thing in the universe is the change, the motion. Nothing is same every moment, next moment. Kull yawmin huwa fi shan. He's all the time managing, and he is all the time busy with his universe, which he has created. And there's a change in that. The only thing permanent in the universe is a change. And the only thing eternal in this universe, over this universe, who has created is God. He is the eternal, whereas everything else in the universe is all the time in flux, it is changing. At very high temperatures, particles would be moving around so fast, even within the atom. Every electron is doing sabah. Same sabah which, for example, the sun is doing in the galaxy in its orbit. They have orbits. The orbits in within the atom are the levels of energy. And there is enormous energy. If that is broken, then you see the atomic energy. It comes out from the atom. It is in the different levels of orbits. So if you compare with the universe, how much energy is there in the universe, we cannot even think of. We cannot even calculate. At very high temperatures, particles should be moving around so fast that they could escape any attraction towards each other, centrifugal forces, due to nuclear or electromagnetic forces. But as they cooled off, as they were cooling at that time, now even now they are cooling. Sun is radiating so much energy, but it is a wonder of God that every day it is sending out so much energy, heat, but still it is bright. It is Srajan and it is Vahajan. It is giving light and it is giving radiation. Billions of years. As they cooled off, one would expect particles that attract each other to start to clump together. Now, the material, the energy which had gone, which had opened up, now the process of coming together of these subparticles and particles is starting. They will come together, the subparticles will come together to form a particle. They will form atom. Neutrons, protons, electrons, positrons, they will come together to form an atom. Because of these forces. Again, there is a reference. Harun Yahya tracing phenomena from zero time, that is the start time, to 34 minutes. The first 34 minutes of the Fatak, of the Big Bang, of the Fatak, the first 34 minutes. Or you can say the 34 minutes of the Falak. Kul a'udhu bi rabbil falak. This surah gives us the journey from the creation to the end. Different aspects. 34 minutes and 40 seconds says, by now, by the time of 34 minutes and 40 seconds, by now, the quantities of the particles that are to form the universe have been balanced, calculated, Mizan, Husban, to allow the formation of the material universe. Without this calculation, the atom cannot form. So the substance cannot form. So the universe cannot form. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I've created this with haqq. In fact, with proper calculation. He further points out, that if the rate of expansion had been smaller, if the expansion was not of the appropriate precise calculation, by any smallest fraction of a second, the universe would have recollapsed. I mentioned in the beginning also, this is Yahya. We have no idea of time. At that time, what was the time? We says it was the beginning, but what was the time? We don't know. Stephen Hawking has raised questions that what were, not only Stephen Hawking, but other scientists also, that what were the boundary conditions at that time? That singularity, where was it existing? Was it within something? It was outside something. What was the time? What were the boundary conditions? So we have no idea of time at that point. We can understand measure of time only in our present context. Minutes, seconds, for example. Therefore, it has been mentioned in our understandable measure of time, which also indicates colossal rate of cooling. He's trying to explain that it has been explained in the scriptures in terms of our understanding. For example, it says 6 days. But we really don't understand time. I've discussed different theories of time in my book, Know Your God. This in the first part, different theories of time. So here we can just have an idea, and every theory has given some benefit to the mankind. As research is taking, it's not just it has gone waste. There are different theories about gravity even. It is refining. Different theories about speed. It is refining. And each refinement, each discovery in which the further refinement is taking place is unfolding benefits for mankind. NASA space probe has peered back in time to the bare instant Sa'at, at that time, just at Sa'at. Quran uses the word Sa'at, that moment. And when the last moment will come, At that Saat, when it will be wound back, that has also been called Saat. Saat. Quran uses different terms for time. I have discussed that in my books. What is the difference between Saat, Heen, Yom, Ayam, Asr, Dahr? They have all scientific meanings. These are different measures of time. Here, the NASA has tried that when the Big Bang took place, when this Fatak took place, at that instant, at that saw, that is the smallest part of time, even lesser than the attosecond. In that smallest part of time, what happened? What was the situation? And they are using for different, they are taking advantage of these things. NASA space probe has peered back in time. You can look back into time. Surah Mulk invites attention. Look to the heavens. Your eyesight cannot see everything. Your naked eye cannot see everything. You will find very hazy images. But then you double your vision, redouble your vision, increase your vision, and with Ra use Basarat. And then you can maybe create binoculars. Maybe you invent telescope. Maybe you invent certain other gadgetry, and you may be able to take clearer images. This is what NASA has done. They have looked back to capture the images of 5 billion years back in time, when the Big Bang took place, at the real instant, at the south, less than a trillionth of a second, trillionth of a second, lesser than attosecond after Big Bang. The robotic probe looked at the afterglow when the Big Bang took place. There was a lot of energy and there was a lot of light. In Bible also you will find reference to that. In Quran also you will find reference to that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that when I created light, I separated it from darkness. I separated darkness and light. If there was no the placement, bal ard dahaha, everything was placed like earth. It was placed in its own place with calculation. If they were not placed in their proper places, there would have been no darkness. Everything was in light, but they were placed in their proper places in with motion, moving so that there was light when it is required, wherever Allah Ta'ala wanted it, and there was darkness wherever He wanted. For example, on the moon, on the other side, it is all the time dark. The moon, face of the moon, which is facing us, that is all the time bright. And in Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I can do that if I wish, if I want to make on this earth only day, that there will be no night, then it will be all the time day. If he wants night, it will be all the time night. How? He is giving us a clue that it is a matter of rotation. It is a matter of the rotation in a direction, but a rotation on the axis. Moon is moving in on its axis in a manner that is all the time its face is towards us. He can change these situations on any plane, on any planet. The robotic probe looked at the afterglow of the Big Bang when there was light. The energetic event scientists believe gave birth to the universe. The universe was born when that fatak took place, and in that fatak there was a glow, and in that glow was energy, and that energy, when it became subparticles, it was plasma, it was more, and Allah had still control over everything, everything. Once the universe was created, it continues to exist. And everything is existing because it is in the process of your sabr. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that they know the sabr, it has been designed in it, and then they know their salat. They know what is their duty, how to perform it. Both these things have been programmed and they have been put into each and every object and each and every constituent of that object, into each and every subparticle of that object, through maintenance of the same tension. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, He tells us that these objects are billions and billions of tons in their weight. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I have bound them through rawasi, through which we cannot see, the pillars which we cannot see, through the gravitational and other forces which are like rawasi, like ropes, which are holding them. And you have seen in the electrical wiring outside, which are running on the poles, that they are not straight, completely straight. If you make them completely straight, they will break up because of the tension. But here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that every object in the universe has been pulled in balance with the other object in with such a force that it is to the maximum. It cannot be reduced, it cannot be increased. Even a slightest change can break it. It is full tension. There is a surface tension. There is the full tension. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, then He ordered different things. And He's giving the example of earth. He tested them. He asked them. And He commanded them. He gave them a command. And they showed the performance, Ta'an wa karhan. They gave a perfect performance, that though they are constrained because of these ravasi, because of these ropes, because of this tension, they are so pulled up, but yet they are so free that they can rotate, they can spin, they can move, they can slide, they can walk, they can do the sabr, they can do the salat, the work which has been assigned to them. So everything, although being in tension, in such a tense arrangement, that in taqadu tamayyazu min al-ghaiz, Quran says that you will think as if they will bust out. They are with such a great pull. Tension manifests itself in attraction and repulsion. What is this? It is the balance between the attraction and the repulsion. It is a balance between the attraction and repulsion of the moon and the earth, between the earth and the sun. The balance. Behusbanan. Atom owes its existence. Atom owes its existence to opposite electric changes. Opposite changes, they are balancing them. Solar system demonstrates balancing of gravitational force by centrifugal force, etc. With this, after this, I'll finish. I think I've taken more than half an hour, or 40 minutes. Dr. Noor Baki is of the view that segregated strata of 7 heavens, that they are 7, it's not one lump, they are segregated 7 heavens, and each one is like a strata. Now scientists call them membranes, or in short, they call them branes, branes, branes. They call it a membrane, but the thickness of this membrane, of the one heaven, of the 7 heavens, each heaven, the thickness is billions of light years. But still, just for our understanding, they call it membranes. These 7 heavens is supported and held in existence by field tension, which I've discussed now. as a layman, I'm not a scientist. Harun Yahya attributes similarity of atom with 7 electron shells around the nucleus. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala different places use the word muscle, that you will find the material, earthen material here, similar earthen material at other places, muscle like this ours, and this is made on the same model because ours is being mentioned in singular and samawat in plural. In the atom also there's one nucleus, that is the point of reference, the point of the observer, wherever you stand, that is your ours, and everything above in the canopy is your sama. So he says that this is the entire universe is made on the same model, the model of the atom. With this, I stop here. Allah willing, we will take up next time, inshallah. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك اللهم لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا واصرف عنا شر ما قضيت فإنك يا ربنا تقضي بالحق ولا يقضى عليك. اللهم ادخلنا برحمتك في عبادك الصالحين. اللهم اخرجنا من ظلمات الجهل والوهم إلى نور العلم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم اجعلنا ممن يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. اللهم اكفنا بحلالك عن حرامك وبطاعتك عن معصيتك وفضلك عن من سواك. اللهم بفضلك ورحمتك على كلمة الحق والدين. اللهم انصر الإسلام وعز المسلمين يا أكرم الأكرمين. Oh Allah, spread your mercy upon us, shower us with your blessings, increase our knowledge, grant us forgiveness, and reward us with the company of the prophets in the Firdaus al-A'la. Oh Allah, forgive our parents and all our friends and relatives. Oh Allah, we have our brother Arif Wadiwala have passed away. Oh Allah, make their graves garden from heaven and grant them the Firdaus al-A'la. Oh Allah, we have many of our friends and relatives who are sick. We have our son Ma'raj, our daughter Aishawani, and many others. Oh Allah, grant to all of them full and speedy recovery. Oh Allah, we have many of our brethren in many Muslim world who are suffering from barbaric enemies, unjust world, and the complacent Muslim nation. Oh Allah, grant them victory, heal their trauma, protect their helpless, and fulfill their needs. Oh Allah, we ask you in every name you have elected for yourself, that none of us leave this gathering, but his pains have been relieved, his worries have been removed, his debts have been paid, his weaknesses have been concealed, his sins have been forgiven, and his needs have been fulfilled. Subhanallah wa bihamdih, عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.